The chamber was quiet. A vast, echoing space with walls of crystalline shimmer, each surface shifting in color as the council delegates filled their seats. The council chamber on Xylo was designed to impress, and usually, it did. But now, even the most brilliant glow of the council walls couldn't mask the discontent rippling through the delegates. Rumors had spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Corruption, misuse of funds, hidden agendas. For months, scandals had rocked the council, and trust had all but shattered. Liam Carter took his seat at the human delegations table, adjusting the collar of his uniform. The only human representative in the room, he felt the weight of his race's outsider status here in the council. Humans were newcomers to the galactic scene, a young race among species with histories stretching back millions of years. But that didn't bother Liam. He had a reputation for being straightforward, honest, and, admittedly, a bit blunt. And that was exactly why he had been chosen to represent Earth. His gaze drifted over the room until it settled on Princess Nyra Aeloria. She was seated gracefully among the Aelorian Empire's representatives, her presence somehow commanding attention without effort. Her emerald skin seemed to shimmer under the council lights, and her eyes, a striking silver, took in the counselors around her with quiet, calculated confidence. She was beautiful, no doubt, but there was something more, a steady, undeniable resolve in her. The rumors suggested that Nyra was one of the few delegates untouched by the scandal. Liam had heard whispers of her integrity, her dream of transforming the council into a force for justice. But he had also heard she was cautious, preferring diplomacy and tact over direct confrontation, traits that often put them at odds. As if sensing his gaze, Nyra glanced over, meeting his eyes. A hint of a smile tugged at her lips, and Liam nodded in response. She returned the gesture, but her attention quickly shifted as the council doors swung open, and Dravos Colton, a senior counselor and rumored frontrunner for the upcoming presidential election, strode into the chamber. Dravos was the kind of man who could make an ally feel like an enemy with a single glance. Tall, imposing, with a proud gaze and a cold smirk, he seemed to revel in the council's turmoil. To him, the scandal was an opportunity, a chance to seize power, to become the one to restore the council's reputation, albeit in his own image. "Esteemed delegates," Dravos began, his voice carrying effortlessly through the hall. "We all know why we are here today. The Galactic Council, a body once synonymous with honor and justice, has become mired in disgrace. But this election is an opportunity for change." His eyes narrowed as he surveyed the room. "We must choose a leader who will bring strength, discipline, and experience back to this council." Liam clenched his jaw. Dravos's words were thinly veiled attacks against anyone who dared oppose him. As the council murmured in agreement, Liam could feel the weight of Dravos's gaze shift briefly in his direction, a silent challenge. It was no secret that Dravos had long seen humanity as an unrefined, impulsive race, unworthy of positions of true power. But then Nyra rose to her feet, her voice clear and calm as she addressed the chamber. "While strength and discipline are vital, so too are compassion and integrity," she said, her silver eyes meeting Dravos's gaze with unwavering calm. "We cannot hope to rebuild trust by relying on force alone. We need a vision that considers all voices, including those we may not understand." A ripple of murmurs swept through the delegates, some nodding in agreement, others bristling. Dravos's smirk faltered, but he quickly regained his composure, laughing softly. "And who would lead such a vision, Princess Nyra?" "Someone with ideals but no experience of the hardships of leadership." Nyra's gaze didn't waver. "I believe it is time we elect someone with both ideals and a commitment to real change, Counselor Colton. The scandals that plague us are proof that experience without integrity has failed us." Liam couldn't help but smile. It took courage to challenge Dravos so openly, especially for someone as cautious as Nyra. And it was at that moment that he knew he would run, too. He hadn't come all this way, fought this hard, to watch the council fall into the hands of a man like Dravos. When the meeting adjourned, Liam made his way to Nyra, catching her as she walked toward the chamber exit. "Princess," he called out, quickening his pace. Nyra turned, her eyes reflecting a hint of curiosity. "Representative Carter," she acknowledged. Her voice was soft, almost melodic, yet it carried a quiet strength. "I take it you found today's session enlightening." "That's one way to put it." Liam offered a wry smile. "But I think there's a more direct way to describe it. Dravos is planning to sweep the Council's scandals under the rug and seize power for himself. And I don't plan on standing by while that happens." Her gaze sharpened, assessing him with a hint of amusement. "You don't seem like the type to stand by at all." "You're not wrong. And I think we both know that Dravos can't be allowed to run unchallenged." A flicker of intrigue lit up her eyes. "Are you suggesting we work together, Representative Carter?" "Liam," he corrected, smiling. "And I'm suggesting we make this election about more than just stopping Dravos. The Council needs new leadership, someone who can show the galaxy there's hope left here." He paused, considering his words. "It's clear you have ideas that could inspire real change, Nyra. I've seen it in the way the other counselors look to you. But they also need someone to get things done, to make the hard calls when it counts." She tilted her head thoughtfully. "So, you think you're that person?" "I think we both are," he replied, feeling a thrill at the prospect of what they might accomplish together. "You bring the vision. I bring the tenacity. If we ran together, we'd be stronger than either of us alone." Nyra studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. "An interesting proposition, Liam," she finally said, her voice thoughtful. "But you realize that running against Dravos is no small task. He has resources, connections, and the loyalty of those who benefit from his leadership." Liam crossed his arms, a determined gleam in his eyes. "Then we'll have to convince the galaxy that we're worth supporting. Dravos may have his power, but people are tired of corruption. If we give them a reason to hope, they'll rally behind us." Nyra nodded slowly, a smile beginning to spread across her face. "Very well, Liam. Let's give them something to believe in." The alliance between Liam Carter and Princess Nyra Aeloria was sealed that day. As they left the chamber together, the counselors around them began to take notice, murmuring quietly among themselves. Dravos watched from across the room, his gaze dark and calculating. He knew that a united front between the human and the princess would threaten his path to power, and he would do everything in his power to tear them apart. Liam leaned against the rail of the council observation deck, his gaze fixed on the sprawling cityscape of Xylo below. The city stretched across the horizon in clusters of crystalline buildings, each one unique in its structure and shimmer, reflecting the starry sky above. His mind was racing with thoughts of the campaign, of Nyra's words, and of Dravos's thinly veiled threats. Nyra spoke first, her voice carrying across the plaza. "This council was founded to serve every system, every being in this galaxy. We cannot allow it to be controlled by those who seek power for themselves. Together, we will rebuild trust, and we will create a council that truly represents us all." Liam stepped forward, his voice filled with determination. "Today, we're not just choosing leaders. We're choosing the future of this galaxy. Let's make it a future we can all believe in." The crowd erupted into cheers, the energy palpable. The next day, citizens across the galaxy cast their votes, and when the results came in, Nyra and Liam's victory was overwhelming. In the council chamber, Nyra and Liam were sworn in as the new leaders of the Galactic Council, the echoes of applause filling the vast hall. Their victory represented more than just a shift in power. It was a turning point for the galaxy, a promise of change that resonated with billions. Dravos, defeated and stripped of his power, watched from the shadows, his expression dark as he was escorted out of the chamber by security. The council, once riddled with corruption, now had a fresh start. Later, as the counselors gathered for the first session under their new leadership, Liam looked over at Nyra, a sense of calm and pride settling over him. "We did it," he murmured, a smile tugging at his lips. Nyra returned his smile, her silver eyes bright with hope. "Yes. And now the real work begins." As they took their places at the council table, they both knew that challenges lay ahead. But they also knew that together, they could face anything. The crowd erupted into applause, and for the first time, Dravos looked genuinely rattled. As the debate continued, Nyra and Liam worked in perfect unison, dismantling Dravos's arguments and presenting a vision of the council that resonated with the galaxy's diverse population. Following the debate, public support for Liam and Nyra soared. Rallies grew larger, with people of all species showing up in droves to hear them speak. A Galaxy United banners filled the streets, and hope blossomed in systems long ignored by the council's elite. But Dravos was not done. As the final weeks of the campaign approached, he unleashed his most dangerous tactic yet, A calculated scandal involving both Liam and Nyra, dredging up fabricated accusations meant to destroy them both. The reports came pouring in, transmitted to every media outlet across the galaxy. In a bold move, Dravos' team had released a series of accusations that shook the campaign to its core. Images and falsified records showed Liam and Nyra supposedly involved in a secret, unauthorized operation that resulted in severe damage to an outer system planet. Dravos wasted no time denouncing them publicly, declaring it proof of their recklessness and lack of accountability. Liam slammed a tablet down onto the conference table, his frustration evident as he glanced around at their assembled team. "This is absurd. I've never even set foot on that planet, let alone launched any kind of mission there." Nyra, seated beside him, looked equally furious, her hands clenched tightly. "And they accuse me of funding this operation with council resources." Dravos knows these accusations are fabricated, but he's confident he can spin it to his advantage. Rin, their tech strategist, shook his head as he pored over the data. "The worst part is how good these forgeries are. Whoever Dravos hired knew exactly how to cover their tracks. But if we don't address this immediately, it'll damage everything we've worked for." Liam took a deep breath, glancing over at Nyra. "I think it's time we stopped just defending ourselves. We need to take the fight to him, expose Dravos for who he really is." Nyra nodded, her expression resolute. "Agreed. This has gone beyond a campaign. This is about protecting the Council from someone who's willing to destroy anyone in his way." Rin led the charge on a counter-investigation, diving into encrypted files and reaching out to contacts in every corner of the galaxy. Meanwhile, Nyra and Liam made a joint appearance to address the scandal head-on. Standing on a stage before thousands, they spoke openly and directly, using the moment to reinforce their message of transparency and integrity. "This council needs leaders who will answer to the people, not hide in the shadows," Liam declared, his voice firm. "I've dedicated my career to making the council better, and I refuse to let these lies distract us from our vision for the future." Nyra took a step forward, her gaze sweeping across the crowd. "These attacks won't deter us. They only reinforce the importance of what we're doing here, building a council that cannot be bought or manipulated by those in power. We will not stop until we achieve that." The audience erupted in applause, and Liam felt a renewed surge of determination. But as they left the stage, Rin approached with a grim expression. "We've found something," he said, motioning for them to follow him back to the campaign headquarters. In the dimly lit briefing room, Rin pulled up a series of documents on a holoscreen, showing the intricate web of connections that linked Dravos to a network of shell corporations and hidden accounts. Among them were massive payments to private security firms, many of whom specialized in sabotage and misinformation. Dravos didn't just stumble upon these accusations. He created them, Rin explained. He's funding an entire covert operation to eliminate anyone who threatens his bid for presidency. And we finally have the proof. Nyra's eyes glinted with determination. "This is exactly what we needed. We'll take this information straight to the council." Armed with the evidence, Nyra and Liam scheduled a press conference, releasing the findings to the galaxy and filing an official report with the council's ethics committee. News of Dravos's actions spread rapidly, and public opinion began to shift. Delegates who had once been loyal to Dravos started to distance themselves, recognizing the potential fallout if they continued to support him. Dravos retaliated by accusing Liam and Nyra of fabricating the evidence, but his attacks were losing their power. The galaxy watched as his allies dwindled and as the integrity of his campaign unraveled. In the midst of this, Nyra received a message from her father, the Emperor of the Aelorian Empire, requesting her presence back home. It was a summons she couldn't ignore. Liam noticed her hesitation as she prepared to leave. "Are you all right?" She met his gaze, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and sadness. "My father has always believed in Dravos's vision of strength and stability. He thinks my campaign is reckless, that I'm jeopardizing our empire's influence. But I have to face him. If I can convince him to see the truth, we'll have the Aelorian Empire support, and that will carry tremendous weight in the council." He nodded, understanding. "Do what you need to do, Nyra. I'll keep things moving here." As she left for the Aelorian Empire, Liam felt the weight of their campaign fall heavily on his shoulders. But he also knew that this was the moment they had been preparing for. With or without Nyra at his side, he was ready to see it through. Nyra stood before her father, the Emperor, in the grand hall of the palace. His expression was one of disappointment, his gaze piercing as he regarded her. "Nyra, my daughter, you've always been compassionate. But sometimes, compassion blinds us to reality," he began, his tone weary. "Dravos is a strong leader. He brings order, something this council desperately needs." "Father, Dravos is not what he appears to be," she replied, her voice steady. "I've seen the lengths he'll go to for power. He doesn't care about the council, about our people. He only cares about controlling them." The Emperor studied her in silence for a long moment. "I've heard the reports, but I need proof, Nyra. Something concrete." She presented the documents Rin had uncovered, detailing Dravos's covert operations and payments to shadowy groups. Her father examined them, his expression hardening as he read. When he finished, he looked up at her, a new light of understanding in his eyes. "You believe in this, don't you?" he asked quietly. "In this vision of a fair and just council?" "I do," Nyra replied, her voice unwavering. "And I need your support." After a long pause, the Emperor nodded. "Then you have it. Dravos's influence over our empire ends now." With the backing of the Aelorian Empire and their evidence against Dravos, Nyra and Liam rallied the remaining systems to their side. Their final campaign event was held in the Grand Plaza on Xylo, with thousands of citizens and council representatives gathered to show their support. As they took the stage together, the applause was deafening. Liam looked over at Nyra, sharing a moment of quiet pride. They had faced every obstacle thrown at them, and they had emerged stronger. Footsteps echoed behind him. He didn't need to turn to know it was Nyra. She had a quiet presence, a calm that somehow filled a room. She moved to stand beside him, following his gaze out over the city. "A beautiful place," she said softly. "So much history and diversity. Yet so fragile." Liam nodded. "I get the feeling the council's losing sight of what it's supposed to protect." Nyra turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "You're right, and that's why we need to act now. I've seen what the council can accomplish when it's united, but Dravos has a way of changing people, making them see only power and status." She paused, her voice softer. "My own family has felt his influence. My father, the Emperor, trusts him." Liam looked at her in surprise. "And yet, you're running against Dravos. That can't be easy." She sighed, the weight of her decision clear on her face. "It isn't. But I refuse to let this council, or my people, fall into the hands of someone who only seeks control." She hesitated, then met his gaze. "We're not just campaigning against Dravos, Liam. We're challenging an entire system built to protect people like him. Are you ready for that?" He gave a short laugh. "I've never been one to do things the easy way. So yes, I'm ready." He held out his hand. "Partners." She smiled and took his hand, her grip warm and steady. "Partners." Over the following days, Liam and Nyra moved quickly to form their campaign team. They reached out to allies across the galaxy, gathering strategists, advocates, and anyone who believed in their vision. Their headquarters was set up on Xylo, in a smaller but beautiful building adjacent to the council chamber, surrounded by lush gardens and holographic displays that illuminated their message. One of the first to join them was Rin Vera, a tech-savvy strategist from the Nephron system, known for his expertise in communication and political strategy. Rin was as unconventional as he was brilliant, with bright blue skin and a constant hum of energy about him. He quickly became an invaluable asset, transforming their modest team into a force capable of challenging Dravos's sprawling network. "All right, listen up, everyone," Rin announced, addressing the team with the enthusiasm of a drill sergeant. "If we're going to take on Dravos, we need a message that resonates across all systems. No exceptions. Princess Nyra, you've got universal respect, and, Liam, your reputation for integrity is solid. Let's use that. People need to see you both as the answer to the council's failures." Nyra nodded, and Liam leaned forward. "What's the strategy?" Rin tapped a holographic display, projecting a galaxy map with red and blue markers across different systems. "Dravos has the wealthier systems in his pocket. They benefit most from the status quo, and their representatives are loyal to him. But we don't need them, at least, not right away. We'll start with the systems that feel overlooked, ignored by the Council's elite. If we win over the outer systems and build momentum there, the core planets will have no choice but to take us seriously. Nyra's eyes sparkled with determination. Then let's begin. We'll show them that the Council doesn't belong to a single man or faction. It belongs to everyone. Their campaign slogan, "A Galaxy United," was born that day. It was a rallying cry that spread quickly, an idea that ignited hope in systems that had long felt forgotten. Within weeks, Liam and Nyra's campaign gained traction. Messages of support flooded in from various systems, and their rallies attracted crowds from all walks of life. Dravos, noticing their rising popularity, began to unleash his tactics. The first attack came in the form of a rumor, whispers that Liam, the impulsive human, had a history of recklessness and poor judgment, especially in conflict zones. Old records of Liam's missions as a diplomat surfaced, carefully edited to suggest he had made rash decisions that endangered lives. Liam was furious when he saw the accusations, but Nyra was calm, as if she had expected this. "Dravos is desperate," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "If he has to stoop to rumors, it means he sees us as a threat." But as the attacks continued, the pressure weighed on Liam. He hated seeing his past twisted, his integrity questioned. It was in one of those quiet, late-night moments, as he sat in their headquarters poring over his old records, that Nyra joined him. "You can't let him get to you," she said gently, taking a seat beside him. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "It's not easy, seeing my entire career reduced to this. I wanted to make a difference here, Nyra. I didn't come to Xylo to watch my reputation get shredded." She gave him a soft, understanding smile. "You're not alone, Liam. And this isn't about who you were. It's about who you are now, what we're fighting for." Her words eased his frustration, grounding him. Together, they were a force, a team, and he realized he didn't have to carry the weight of the campaign alone. The campaign's pivotal moment arrived in the form of the first televised debate. Held in the Grand Council chamber, it was a dazzling spectacle, with representatives from every corner of the galaxy watching from both in-person and holographic seats. Each candidate stood at their podium, the Galactic Council symbol hovering in holographic light behind them. Dravos, with his smug smile and polished rhetoric, took center stage. Nyra and Liam flanked him on either side, and as the debate began, he wasted no time going on the offensive. "Ladies and gentlemen of the Council," Dravos began, addressing the crowd with a tone dripping with condescension. "We must remember that experience is what builds strong leadership. It's easy to promise change, but when you're dealing with the delicate balance of power across entire star systems, experience is irreplaceable." Liam narrowed his eyes. "Experience isn't worth much if it's used to protect corruption." Dravos's smile faltered for a moment, but he recovered smoothly. "Ah, Representative Carter. Humans are known for their passion, aren't they? But governing a galaxy requires more than just passion. It requires control, diplomacy, and an understanding of the systems we represent. Do you truly believe that a race as young as humanity understands the complexities of galactic governance?" Liam clenched his fists, but before he could respond, Nyra spoke up, her voice calm yet commanding. "It isn't the age of one's race that matters, Counselor Colton. It's the principles they stand for," she said, her gaze steady. "What the Council needs now is integrity, a commitment to justice for all systems. The scandals that have tarnished this Council's reputation were allowed to flourish under your leadership, Counselor. Tell me, what experience do you bring that justifies that?" The audience murmured, and Dravos's mask of control slipped, just for a moment. But he was quick to respond. "Princess Nyra," he said, his tone oily. "It's easy to accuse others, but your own family has benefited greatly from the Council's favor. Your empire is among the wealthiest and most privileged in this galaxy. Isn't it convenient for you to call for change now, while continuing to enjoy those privileges?" Liam stepped forward, his voice steady and clear. "Dravos, Nyra and I are here because we believe in a future where the Council is accountable. Not just for the few who benefit, but for every system, every species. If you can't understand that, then maybe you're the one who's out of touch."